I used to have a simple life. Whatever needed doing round the farm, I'd do it. Being the eldest son, it's tough. But at least we had a living, and our plates were never empty. Then, the war came. I lost everything overnight. The last thing I remember is Father pushing me away, yelling for me to run, to live. At first, I didn't know what to do. Then, I remembered. A story my mother once told me. A story about my uncle, Jordan. He made a modest fortune up north, in a peaceful valley far away from the war. For weeks I held on to that thought, until the valley from my mother's stories. I could see it. This is where I can start a new life.
So, the land has been ravaged by war, and we're basically looking for a handout from our uncle that we've never really met, from a story our moms told us one night that might be true or not. Sounds like the start of a wonderful story, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. All right, we're Racemir, and we have made a long, tiring journey to get here across a war-scarred realm. That village down there, called Gustovia, is where our uncle is supposed to be, but I've heard some stories on the way here that later in the year bandits show up in this area. But right now, they're busy with loot from the war. That means that their usual camps are probably empty, and there might be some loot left laying around. So, before we go looking for a handout, let's create our own handout. Now, on the way here, I've acquired a map of the valley, so let's overview it. Gustovia is the central village in this area, not a proper capital, but definitely the center of activities, and the Castellan lives there, Unigost, and we're going to go talk to him a little bit later, find out about our uncle. Anyway, it's a fertile valley with a large river and lake, and 6 villages. Gustovia, which we've already talked about, Borobo, Denica, and then the northern triplets, Tutki, Branica, and Baranica. My pronunciation may be off because I'm new to the area, but we'll work on it. Now, bandit camps are scattered across the valley. We're going to start here, just east of Gustovia, near a small waterfall, and it appears that my incessant questions have paid off, for there lies our first bandit camp. Looking around furtively, we find an iron knife, a very expensive bottle of Malvasian wine, a straw hat inside a tattered tent, a water skin in pretty decent condition, a pouch with almost 100 coin in it, a bucket, and some sacks with some berry wine, some simple torches, arrow, an iron-spiked cudgel, a recurve bow, and an almost brand new bronze axe. Holy shit. That's an amazing haul. Now, if the rest of the bandit camps are even near this good, then we're going to be in a much better shape. Now, getting on to the next bandit camp will take us past Gustovia. I'm going to stop off and sell some of the stuff that I don't really need. Coin in our pocket is much better than a backpack full of stuff. We sell the expensive wine, the bronze axe, the bronze arrows, making a tidy 900 plus coin. Note that I'm also going to keep the iron cudgel, the iron knife, and the recurve blow, as outfitting oneself is just as important also. Now next, we're going to be heading up to a small bridge crossing a stream just south of the triplets. It's a fairly long hike, but if we stick to the paths, that'll keep us away from most of the hostile wildlife. We won't have to worry about anything. Once we get to the bridge, we turn north, and we're going to follow the stream up until it ends at a road. Now, on the way up, we find a chest with some bronze bars to sell. Ka-ching! And another 89 coin. I'll take that free loot. Now, once the path ends, directly to our right, we're going to find a bunch of ore laying on the ground, and directly behind us, we find out why. Old mine, also with a substantial amount of sellable ore, but also a free stone pickaxe. Now, loaded down, we head directly into Baranica and we talk to the local seamstress, Lubomira. We unload all of the sellables that we have and grab a simple large backpack and a large pouch. This maxes out our carrying capacity, which will help out immensely. We're down to 122 coin, but we're much, much better off, and we still have more bandit cans left. So, we head just upside out of Tukey and do a bit of appropriation. We grab a bow, some leather, and some stone arrows out of a hunter's cabin. The leather we keep, and we're going to sell everything else. Now, the next part of our journey is going to take us south, and then we're going to follow the Riverside Road back to the east for a bit. So we head down to the bridge. We're going to hang a left, and then just a bit down, we find another bandit camp. Now, the loot here includes some fishing spears, torches, some bags, absolutely great find that'll allow us to start farming immediately, as well as some scattered food, a couple of simple cudgels, a half-dead iron axe, but it's still an iron axe, a bucket, just a hodgepodge of good stuff. Next, looking north, we're going to set out for the island in the middle of the river. And we've heard some tales on the way here, and it turns out it's true. Find an iron shovel, keeping that, and another pouch with 150 coin in it. Frickin' sweet. But, as all good tales, there's more. So, south, we find a stream and head down until we get to a small bridge by a waterfall. Now, just on top of the waterfall to the northwest is a final bandit camp. Now, although sparse and long ago abandoned, we do find a coin pouch with another 50 coin in it to fatten our pockets just that little bit more. Not going to turn down to anything. And finally, time to head back to Custodia. Now, on the way, we found a cart with a bronze sickle and some flax. We'll grab that. And finally, we walk into Custodia a little bit more confident and a little less destitute than before and present ourselves to Unigast, the local castellan of the area, see where our Uncle Jordan lives. Come to find out, Unigast didn't actually know my mother, but knew of her and knew my uncle. I break the news to Unigast that both moms and pops were lost in the war, and basically, I've come here seeking some of the last family that I have left, my Uncle Jordan. Sadly, it seems that my uncle passed away 3 years ago. That sucks. But Unigast makes an offer for me to stay in the valley, put down roots, and even get some land as long as I pay my taxes. And you know, that sounds like a pretty sweet deal to me. I don't have anything else holding me down. Now, Unigast said to get started with picking out a good spot to build. He's giving me permission as the castellan, getting a house built and starting up a farm. And just like that, the chapters of a whole new book open up before us. Now, before we get going, we stop off and talk to the local barkeep and sell off some of our extra stuff. We leave with a tidy 774 coin, and it's time to pick out a spot. Getting kind of late. While out traveling, I noticed there's a mountain lake up near Donica, and I think building around a mountain lake could be pretty nice. Oh, I was right. Look at that view. That'll work. So I'm not sure what we're going to call the place yet. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for a name for our little lakeside dynasty. It's late when we arrive, but we've kept the torches that we found. We have a pretty badass iron axe, and we get busy. I chop wood all night long. Literally. But this gives us a good chance to talk about skills. There are several skill categories. They're learned by doing. There's extraction. We're building that now by chopping trees. There's hunting, farming, and more. Now, the important thing is that every skill category at the top has a skill called knowledge. Hunting knowledge, farming knowledge, etc. One for each skill. Levels here give extra experience when you're using those skills and really should be the first things that you max out. I do, so I'll only talk about skills I increase after that. Just assume my first 3 points of every category goes into knowledge. You'll also unlock buildings as your skill goes up in these categories. You'll find that over on the technology tab. And then finally, inside technologies, you unlock more buildings. You'll have schemes, which are basically schematics that you can purchase inside those categories that let you build and craft things, and that requires coin. And by morning, I've just about destroyed my axe and pretty much raped the entire landscape. But I have 131 logs, 300 plus sticks, and some scattered stones. A great start to our village building needs and a pretty awesome day one run. Now that we're established and we have some resources, it's time to get busy building. The building system is fairly simple, with pre-built buildings that you lay down and then add building materials to them to finish them out, such as logs, sticks, stones, and straw for our thatch roof. Unfortunately, the only bad thing about the mountain lake is there's no straw. So we head down to Gustovia, check by the river, and pick up a bunch, and I do mean a bunch of straw. It's lightweight, and you're going to need a lot, so try to pick up a few hundred when you're down here from time to time. It definitely helps out. While we're here, we stop off and see one of the merchants. We purchase some flax seeds, which we'll use to make some cash, some cabbage seeds, which will fulfill our basic food needs, and some fertilizer so that we can get our planting in for this season before it's too late. Heading back, we finish off the house, which completes our house quest, which then unlocks our survival quest. But I'm more interested in those deer. Oh, take that, a great shot. Go ahead and skin her up for some leather and meat. But next is farming. Now, farming's kind of a process. First, we need to lay out our field. Now, once we recruit some villagers to help with work, one farmer can take care of around 100 squares, so a 10 by 10 field. We're going to start out with a 5 by 10. First, we need to prepare the ground by plowing it. Man, I'm feeling this bow, especially with these iron arrows. Now, once done, we need to get our bag out and fertilize the plowed ground. That's pass number 2. Now that the ground is fertilized, we need to get back over the field, turning the ground and mixing the fertilizer in. Only then are we done and ready to switch back to our bag and finally start sowing the actual seeds. Like in real life, this pretty much takes all day. We're going to fill up our farm with flax and cauliflower. Both of these crops will mature next season, and we'll repeat the process. There are many more crops for us to grow, so we've got quite a bit of farming in front of us. That evening, we murder another Bambi, grab us something to drink and relax after a hard day's work by cooking up some venison. And, yeah, we've only got 46 coin to our name right now, but we've got land, a house, a small farm, and things are looking good. Overnight, in anticipation of recruiting new villagers, I go down and throw down another house, make some more levels, and spend the rest of the night, you guessed it, gathering even more resources. Day 3 opens up with more building. We throw down a resource storage building because the storage in the small houses is pretty pitiful, and we really do need some place to store some serious stuff. The resource building takes a metric crap ton of resources, so that eats up a good portion of the morning getting that done. But with that done, I'd like to make another trip into town. We have a quest to talk to Dobernega, the tavern keep, about, and I'd also like to pick up some more straw. Never let a trip to town go to waste. So, turns out Dobernega was a troubadour with a traveling minstrel group, you go girl, and she tells me the story of her coming into town with the troupe, her staying behind to be with Unigost, and she also has a small job for us. Seems that one of the local farmers that supplies the tavern with rye hasn't been sending any, which means they can't make some beer, which is kind of bad for a tavern. She'd like me to check up on them, and her and Unigost have been nice enough to me, so sure, not a problem, ma'am. I'd be happy to stop by. So we grab a little bit of dynasty reputation for that, and hearing that Unigost has invited me to talk today, he also provides us some oat ale for us to drink. And some food, which I immediately scoffed down. Now that's a why. So, finding Unigost outside, I ply him with the ale and sit down for a tale about my uncle. So, Unigost knew my uncle for 22 years and says they were best friends. They actually met while Unigost was trying to pickpocket my uncle. He caught him, he was actually impressed with his skills, and the rest is history. Well, there is the part about Unigost and my uncle being serviced by some barmaids, but we'll leave that for the other channel. Anyway, our dynasty reputation isn't high enough for us to recruit villagers, but you know what? As long as we're down here, it's a good time to look. Now, if you press left alt while looking at villager, you'll get a series of icons above their head that show their skill levels. From left to right is extraction, hunting, farming, social, fishing, and crafting. We're looking for someone for the fields, however, And this chick is not it. Traveling over to Borowo, we find Leopolda, who has a maxed out farming. Yeah, baby. So we can't get her yet, but we know just where to come when we're ready. So heading back, we gather some berries on the way, kill a badger, another few Bambis. And I'm telling you, this bow is a shit. One-shot deer kills are the way to go. Anyway, back at the homestead, I start working on clearing some land, digging up the stumps. Now, you get a log for each of these, plus you're clearing the land, which is nice. But you'll need a shovel to take care of them. Remember, we found the iron one. Remember, if you're going to play, do the bandit camps. Now, I spend the rest of the evening just grinding materials out. I've long worn out my iron axe, so I'm down to a stone axe, but they're cheap to make and they work. Now, that means spring is finally done, and we're at the end of the episode. We're in a pretty good place. We have tons of food, a bunch of resources, our first 2 houses, and our first building down, a farm. We have a crop coming in, and man, we are set for summer. So, thanks for watching. I appreciate a like and subscribe if you're so inclined. And a huge shout out to my Patreon members who, of course, always make this possible. Remember, if you want to join Patreon, the links are below. You guys have a great day. Peace out. I'll see you next episode.